People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time, man. Good morning to you, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in this world, whoever you are in this world, and when you're actually coming across or have the time to watch this video. I know I bring out a crap load of videos. It's not my fault, it's an addiction, and some of you lot majority of you lot are, in fact the vast majority of you lot are watching every video, because I see the same comments, the same people commenting, and it means a lot, man. You lot are crazy. But we might as well speak about a couple of things in relation to Arsenal. Obviously, I might as well just talk about what interests me the most, and that's how true these comments are. I'm not too sure, people. If you give me a second to find it. Manchester United, Arsenal and Chelsea are all chasing Lille midfielder Boubakary Soumaré, who is likely to be sold this month, Sky Sports News has been told. Spanish clubs Real Madrid and Valencia are said to be interested in the France under-21 international. And for me, people, I tweeted it yesterday, but if you watch the game, the first half in midfield, just if you know about Arsenal in general, but if you watch the first game, there's two problems with our midfield. One, no Torreira, no Party. If Torreira's not about, then we're a bit of a mess, really and truly. You see what he gives us in that sixth position. In recent weeks, you see how good him and Xhaka have been in a partnership together. But we have to be realistic with ourselves. I don't want Torreira to ever be injured, but the way he's always playing for Uruguay, not that that's relevant, and we need him in our side, and obviously it's a cup game and whatnot. That runs the risk of injury and fatigue, and you don't want that. That's unhealthy for any player, because this is his second season in which he'll probably play close to 40, maybe touch 50 games. I'm not too sure, whatever he did last year. So there's fatigue, loss of form. We can't expect Torreira to be at it or be there every moment. That's down to the team and existing players. We have to be able to, if we want to be a big team again, we can't just say Torreira's not there, or Aubameyang's not there, or Leno's not even playing, and we're going down the shit, down the shit, really and truly. Obviously, if certain players are not there, there will be a natural drop off in quality, people. But it shouldn't be that big. But if Torreira's in a loss of form or he's injured, what happens with our midfield, really? You need someone. Soumaré is not a DM like that. I think he can play there, but for me, he's more box to box, and more of a Kante, in that Kante is classed as a defensive mid. He's not a DM. Like, he can sit in front of the defence and do it well, but his job is box to box, go and win the ball back, just be switched on defensively, and that's what we need. I think first and foremost, yesterday would have showed that we need a centre mid, but I think the option of Soumaré and Torreira in the midfield, it might not be the most creative, but two dynamic box-to-box midfielders would be good, because we know we need high intensity, dynamism and tenacity and all these things, and I think he fits that. Obviously, he's in his early 20s, so there's the resale value, and obviously it ties in with Pepe, with Guendouzi, with Torreira, with Nelson, Saka, Martinelli, and all of these young players in and around, all the Tierney, who's injured at the moment, all these players in and around the side that are of the right age, teenage to early and mid-20s. We need that in our side, and I believe he's that. Now, I believe technically he was going to be a free agent this summer, but he's signed a new deal, and to be honest, that's good for Leo. He owes Leo a lot. They took him from PSG on a free transfer, and this season, like, if you remember my videos, I was talking about him at the start of this season, to be fair with you guys, and he said he's one to watch, and he's just been developing. Obviously, there's a whole host of clubs involved. January is difficult to do business. How much money do we have? And as much as I love Soumaré, and you hear Real Madrid and Valencia, I would go Madrid if they offered. But if he wants to develop, he needs to go elsewhere. If we need a centre-half, and we've been linked with his teammate Gabriel of Lille as well, is it feasible to conceive that we can do a double deal? I'm not too sure for both. Is it like you're seeing him linked with a 50 to 60 million pound move? Now, Arsenal should have money in the bank for that and a centre-half. But if our priority, based on injuries, and even Arteta more or less alluding to it, not specifically, but alluding to it, is centre-half, do we really have 50, 60 million to splash on a midfielder? Now, that's a general comment. For me, if you have any chance of signing this man, you go and get it done. Obviously, Chelsea, the attraction of Chelsea, they've won out of United and Arsenal and them, they've won the Premier League more recently. Obviously, Lampard is there. Obviously, he's a French player. It might not be Arsenal of old, but Arsenal have a lot of romance with French players. And if he wants to go along that route, he can come here and develop as a player. Obviously, we've got Pepe, Aubameyang's a French speaker. Lacazette's there as well. There's a couple other players. And obviously, a former teammate in Pepe's there as well. So it could be something that that attracts him. We owe it to ourselves to sell the best project, but is what it is. Valencia, similar reasons, he'll play a lot. Real Madrid, they're a young sort of side and they're rebuilding. You could go and do that, but does he for me, you should only be trying to go Madrid if you're the finished article as a player. And as good as I believe he is he necessarily that? Only he could answer that for you. Manchester United, he's not a direct replacement for Pogba, but one out, one in. For me, they should be trying to play the both, but one out, one in would be decent. Completely different from Pogba. And he's got good size on him and good technical ability as well, Soumaré. You saw him against Chelsea. Yeah, man. Man United, it's Man United. They might not have won the league, but if you've been watching football in the last 20 or so years, it's Manchester United. Like, I banter United and United fans a lot, but even if they offered me a scouting role or whatever, it's Manchester United. You can't turn that down. So for a player, regardless, obviously it's not United of old, and you'd have to obviously take off the glamorous cap and look at United for what it is. But I think what I'm saying is, if United offer, you at least listen to what they have to say. I've seen City linked with him before, but Sky Sports didn't put their name, so I'm not too sure. I'd be all up for it, people, and I believe we need to get it done. Like I said, we've already known this, but yesterday against Leeds in the FA Cup highlighted it. Highlighted when players are tired in midfield, what happens. Highlighted when Torreira's not there. So if it can be done, I think we need to do that. You go and get a centre mid. Maybe that means getting a cut price, lesser profile centre half. This is where scouts really need to do their jobs now. Again, I could list some centre halves, but scouts are paid to watch football, and it's difficult to just because they're watching football, and you see a lot of players. You can't just select everybody for Arsenal. If you could find 100 players capable, well, you could with our defence, really, barring the form. But if you could find 100 odd players, something's either wrong with the level of player you're scouting or your eye, and that goes for a lot of top teams, not just Premier League sides, teams in general. But surely there is a shortlist where, I don't know, there's a man playing in the second division in France, 20 odd years of age to 25 years of age. He can come here and do a job, man, really. Hopefully we can go and find someone along them lines, people. I'm all for Soumaré, as you guys know already. So hopefully that one day gets done, man. Some other notes or irrelevant but relevant points, people, is which I like to see. Lacazette has said on Arteta at half-time, he shouted a lot. He was not happy because we knew they were going to play like this and we didn't respect what he said. The second half was better, and thank you to Reece for the goal. Arteta said, I wasn't happy at all. If you're not ready for the game, you get exposed and you get done. When I see what I don't want to see, and I'm not talking about technically or tactically, I cannot be happy and I have to let them know. So he's talking about that fighting spirit, that galvanisation, the simple basic principles that we started our two previous Premier League games with. It wasn't there against Leeds. We can talk about fatigue, and I do think a part of that played, but we've got to be able to turn it on regardless of who's playing, regardless of the opposition. And like I said in the previous video, I'm not really a fan of this narrative the media was trying to push, that people expected Leeds to come here and get turned over, or just that Leeds are not a good side. They're top of the Championship under Bielsa, playing some good football. The only criticism I can have of Leeds, just as general watching them this season, is that for as good as they are, they don't really convert much goals. I don't know if stats back that up. They don't really score much. And to be fair, ironically, that was the one thing they went wrong yesterday. You can have all the play you want. You don't put the ball into the back of the net, you don't score. And obviously, Arteta was fully right describing them as going to the dentist. It's always a nightmare because Leeds are a good side. And obviously, I'm not a Leeds fan, so it don't really affect me. But I'd like to see Leeds return to the Premier League. In relation to transfers, Arteta said, we don't talk about any transfers, but we are working on things. We don't talk about any transfers in the public, so we'll see how that one goes, man. And obviously, this is Edu's first full sort of year at the club. He couldn't really be involved in the summer, but you heard he got us Martinelli, so I'm hoping he can work his magic. Like I said before, surely we can buy a Soumaré, and I don't know, Edu's got something for us in South America with a centre half or something, man. I don't know, people, someone somewhere, man. And I was obviously happy yesterday for Reece Nelson to score, people. Arteta's been training him since he was 16 when he had a previous sort of coaching experience at Arsenal. And he said in relation to Reece Nelson, I'm very pleased with him, how he's training, how he's reacting, how willing he is to learn. He's asking the right questions. I know about his ability. I know about his potential. He's doing all the right things. And I was happy for Nelson to score because it's going to do a lot for his confidence. I'm not saying he's now going to go on and be Jadon Sancho, but you can see a young lad trying to develop, and obviously the hype and things, it clearly can get to someone at times. And I do believe in Nelson, Saka, Martinelli and a couple others. We've got some good options in the future, man. Or for now, present/future. Moving forward, people, and some other notes, a bit of a long one. He was asked if we improved in the second half. He said, Yes, thank God. I wasn't happy at all. The first 30 to 35 minutes, how we started, how we approached the game, I tried to convince them before the game of what to expect of that team. They battered every team in the championship every 3 days. The way they play, it is really difficult and uncomfortable. Everything is man-to-man around the pitch, so it becomes a transitional game where everything is duels, everything is 50-50, and we struggled in the first half. Sometimes we won the first ball, but it's about the second and third is in games like this, and we kind of struggled to cope with that. On another day, against another opposition, we're sitting here and saying we're our own worst enemies in relation to the defeat people. Yeah, he said that if you're not ready for that game, you get exposed and you get done. Obviously, the second half was a different story. Moving on, people, he said, well, I've already spoke about the tactical thing. He already said I cannot be happy with how they react. I'm trying to find the other relevant bits. He said, because before... Wait, sorry, people, this ain't going to make sense. But he said, because before that, everybody said it was a physical issue, that we could not sustain a certain rhythm or intensity throughout the game. Look how they finished the game tonight. After 94 minutes, they kept going. This here, and this there. This is what they have to understand as a team. And oh, that was the Nelson comments. And I might as well just read the comments because I've said it already, people. He's asking the right questions. I've already said I coached him when he was 16. I know his potential, and now he needs to put things away. Whether that means score goals or just write end product is what I believe. And he's also said, I'm really pleased with Reece. I think he needed that goal as well for his confidence. I think he needs to improve his end product a little bit in the final third, but he's doing all the right things. And that's true. He's getting in the right areas. He's having positives, but I've said this in my reviews. He needs to get his head up. And for me, he needs to be a bit clearer in his options. Like even yesterday, it was positive when he's breaking. And I'm not criticising him at all, but as he plays more games, when he's dribbling and bursting through, how many times did it's like his mind ran, but the ball never came with him? He got swept under his feet and whatnot. It's about cutting these sort of things out, not just for him, a lot of the young players. It's about seeing a picture before it's happened. Okay, we're on a counter attack. Let me move here and get the ball. And I want to see Nelson's personality come out a bit, because there was one, I was hammering my TV, people. I was was saying Lacazette, let that run to Nelson, and looking at the reviews, not the reviews, the replay, Nelson weren't calling for it. Now Lacazette's low on confidence, he needs to go himself, but he shot straight into the keeper. And I think if it ran through to Nelson, he puts that away because of the momentum and whatnot. And in relation to Arteta's comments about sustaining the intensity, I do think we did look a bit tired, but at the same time, a lot of it is probably how we're starting games. There was a couple of rotations. Obviously, listen, I'm not going to say the boys went out there and tried to disrespect Leeds, because Arteta spoke highly of them, and we all have. But Leeds, compared to United or Chelsea, potentially our foot came off the gas a bit, and you saw with the same mistakes we've been making all season kind of happening in the first half. So in relation to the intensity, maybe as well as a physical thing, it's a psychological thing to be up for every game. Because I must admit, when Arteta was assistant at City, or whenever I watched City in the FA Cup, and they've had games in quick succession, there's been rotation, but the same intensity regardless has more or less been there, people. So hopefully we get some more, Happy for Nelson's confidence, like I said, people. Encouraging comments that I'm hearing from Arteta all the time in relation to Arsenal and if we can do better. He praises us when we need praise, and when we need to be told we can do things better. I like it, man, and it's good for the fans that we hear this sort of clarity. Hopefully it means as it continues as it means, whatever the saying is. Hopefully it starts as it means to go on, or it continues, or whatever it is, people. But on that note, I've got to jump on Victoria line. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. But DG, us keep it moving. People, DG, I'm out.